and welcome. Today we are in conversation with Lyxel&Flamingo, one of India's largest digital, creative and technology companies handling more than 300 brands. And today we have with us Mr. Batra, the CEO of Lyxel&Flamingo with more than 2 decades of experience in media and operations. So we would love to deep dive right in. Years of experience, more than a decade with Lyxel&Flamingo. I'll say L&F, I think, which is better.
L&F is
better. Yeah. So how's it been? How's it been with L&F over the last 10 years? What is up with Elevate? We would love to know.
Yeah, so actually January, we complete 12 years of our existence, to be more precise. Congratulations. Thank you. And today we are one of the largest independent agencies. There are about 10 co-founders and partners, 11 now. Very recently, we elevated one of us to become another co-founder partner. So together we have been running the business, but while we have grown pretty well, we do believe that the way digital is moving and the way marketing is evolving, there has to be a lot of thought leadership that needs to come from the agencies.
For sure.
And it's not just the agencies, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the consumer behavior is changing. The generations are coming with different ways of looking at brands and how they consume content. And also the new platforms that are emerging. We believe that it's very important to constantly keep building the education with brands around all of this. And so Elevate is our proprietary flagship event, which is in the 3rd year of its existence. So this is the 5th Elevate event that we're doing actually, where we get pretty much all major publisher partners and 200 plus brands together under one roof in our office here. And we talk about what's new, what's changing, how are new platforms coming up, what are the platform channels that are working, what is the new creative approaches that are working, how are generation consuming the content, so that brands can also absorb some of those things and then prioritize their investments or decide what they really want to do in the coming year. So this is the annual operating plan kind of the event, so where brands can understand how or what platforms they want to consider and how they would like to make their investments in the coming year. So that is the Elevate event that we're doing.
If I'm a brand and I am totally unaware about Elevate, why do you think I should attend Elevate? Give me a reason.
So I'll give you more than one reason.
Yeah.
The first reason is that it's a very unique industry first kind of an event where more than 10 platforms are going to come here in one day and conduct sessions. So we've got Google, we've got Flipkart, we've got Amazon, we've got Spotify, we've got Pinterest, Taboola, we've got Mob Avenue, we've got Cargo, we've got pretty much all kinds of publisher partners, platforms coming together and educating brands on what's going to work on their platforms for the coming year.
Okay.
So you won't get this kind of access pretty much in any other industry event, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
And it's all happening in just one day.
Yeah.
So it's very efficient also, because you don't have to invest like multiple days or multiple hours. In one day, you can pick and choose the events that you want to pick up, and then you can learn about what's going on. So that's the first very big reason. The second reason is in terms of the kind of people who are going to attend. So while you learn a lot from these partners, you also tend to learn a lot from what your peers are doing in this industry.
For sure.
There's a melting pot where different brands from different categories are coming in. We've got CMOs, we've got business heads, we've got founders, we've got leaders, we've got very large marquee leadership brands, and we've got young entrepreneurial setups. Everybody comes in together. And there's a lot of exchange of information and ideas on what's working for them, what's not working for them. And I think that's a very interesting way to learn from your peers and absorb things that are happening in other industries. You can pick and choose and maybe try and apply of what may give very good response to you if you were to apply it in your business. So I think that's a very
I'm convinced. As a brand, I'm convinced.
Awesome. So
please register my participation as a brand.
Awesome. You're most welcome. I wanted to give you a third reason also.
Yes, please.
The third reason is that I'm a foodie at heart. And
plus one, yes.
Yeah. So, and I believe it holds true for a lot of us. And I believe that one of the very big draws of Elevate is that we really work very hard in curating our menu. So our menu is really good. We serve great food through the day, and we end with a very...
if you gave this reason first one, I wouldn't need the rest too. I would just be there anyhow for a present.
This is my core reason. You should come. come for the food because the food is really awesome. Our cocktail selection is really awesome, and you're really going to enjoy the event.
Amazing. And I would love to also know that I'm sure Elevate has evolved as a project since its inception.
Yes.
So how's it been in the past years? What new are you bringing in 2025?
So see, first thing is that our industry is extremely dynamic. The relevance of platforms continues to evolve as we move year after year. So this year, we believe that a lot of new platforms are gaining more traction. So we'll see a lot of programmatic platforms coming in, from Mob Avenue to Cargo. We are seeing a lot of new platforms that are now creating a very sizable amount of audience pool. So whether it is Pinterest, that is almost touching 50 million plus audiences here, whether it is InShots, whether it is Taboola. So I think all these platforms are also growing in a very big way. There is a huge change in how brands are also looking at content creation, because the more widely you want to spread out to different platforms, because you want to cater to various audience cohorts, the content requirements for each of these platforms is also different. So it adds up to a huge amount of complexity in terms of project managing so much content, and how do you set up across multiple approaches. So I think there's going to be a very important agenda around how do you create content in a scalable way. So first understand the platform and then figure out how you want to establish a presence there.
Right.
The second thing that is going to be very important this year is that suddenly, over the last 3 or 4 years, you've seen huge number of brands coming in. It's also, in a way, the incumbent brands are also facing the heat. You were a leadership brand, but not anymore, or you are getting huge amount of competition from new emerging brands. And then there are a lot of brands who also want to grow. So they've had their 0 to 1 journey, 1 to 10 journey. Now, how do they move from a 10 to 100 journey? So the idea is that only pure play performance marketing, we have seen, even if you're a large brand, has started giving diminishing returns.
Okay.
And you're relying on maybe a couple of platforms to do that, but beyond a level, those platforms also cannot deliver the outcome. So how do you grow your brand? What else can you do in a situation like that? And then obviously last year, there's been a lot of pressure on any D2C brand to how do you scale up more profitably? So how do you do that? So I think there are a lot of these paradigms that are evolving. And then obviously, now the retail is back. People still want the audiences to go to their physical stores. So how do you use digital to drive a lot of traffic to your physical stores? And I think that also is a very big question that a lot of brands are asking us. And I think that Elevate is our opportunity to try and delve deeper into some of these questions that are very pertinent to the growth trajectory of various brands, no matter where you are in the life cycle or your leadership in your category. So pretty much all brands are asking very similar questions. The idea is to throw these questions to the platforms and then see how platforms can help answer some of these, or give them playbooks that brands can deploy and see how it is impacting their outcomes.
For sure, yes. And to speak of brands and content and to not mention AI is a sin, I think. So I would like to drive the conversation more towards industry perspective of things. And please share with me, what do you think about how will AI impact creative thinking? How will AI impact content in the coming time? It has already started to grow.
It has.
So,
and there's a lot of deployment that we have started doing on AI. There are multiple things, whether it is writing content from a blog or driving traffic, helpful content as Google wants to be written for various websites, because that is going to pull traffic. So AI can do that pretty well. And keeping in mind a certain tone of voice and the language that the brand would like to keep. Apart from that, now performance marketing necessitates that you have to build a lot of content. You cannot run meta campaigns with just 2 or 3 pieces of content. You need to put a lot of content out there.
sure.
You need to do a lot of A/B testing as well. So it is virtually impossible for someone to ride so many ways, so many different kind of content with different nuances.
Yes.
So you can leverage AI. And now we have seen that over the last 4 or 5 months, the AI's capability to create videos or create static content has evolved in a very big way.
Yes.
So it's becoming more and more realistic. As a result, you can save a lot of money. And that's what we've been doing for a lot of brands, where what you would have produced probably with motion and, point and shoot camera, we are now doing that with AI, and it's giving very good quality results. We have been through a huge amount of learning curve in terms of prompt engineering, because the quality of prompts will define the outcomes. So there we do believe that while we're doing a lot of work, we have seen that the capabilities are maturing rather quickly. and brands will have to adopt. Otherwise, the cost of creation of content is going to be unsustainable. So I think that's where AI will have a lot of impact on the creative aspect. So AI cannot think like us. Obviously, the content side, the emotion, the way we think about a brand, the way we want to consume a brand, I think those things will completely be a human territory, at least the way I see it for the next 1 or 2 years. You don't know what AI will be capable of. But yes, I think once you've thought about how the brand needs to interact with the consumers, then deploying various pieces of content across platforms or creating niches around that content, I think that is something that AI can do better.
Right, but also coming to the point where building a brand today is not very easy. Since you're speaking about AI and digitally deploying tools to build a brand, I would also like to come to the topic of building a brand with with organic reach or via performance marketing and stuff. Now, these are two aspects that a brand kind of has to take a decision in. How do you think there can be a good balance between the two?
So I think a lot depends on the journey of the brand. Because it's not easy to build a brand when you are in your 0 to 1 journey or a 1 to 10 journey. You're going to rely a lot more on performance marketing. You're going to rely a lot on hopefully the ads will run and be able to give you returns.
Yeah.
But it's not scalable beyond the level, because then you don't get the returns, and you spend $100, you get 300 rupees of sale. It's not going to work, and you don't get 300 rupees of sale. You get from US. I think there are two aspects. First, brand building as an art that was practiced maybe a couple of decades back, I think is somewhere losing the essence, where there's so many brands in a category that all sound very similar.
Yeah.
One thing that we've noticed as a result is that the consumer is not necessarily leaning on a certain brand.
Right.
So what happens is that if all brands are going to sound similar, then I'm not going to look for a brand. I'm just going to look for the product.
Yeah.
So as a result, we've seen that across categories, there's a very high amount of generic searches that have gone up. Instead of looking for maybe a red lipstick, maybe a certain brand of lipstick, people are just looking for a red lipstick.
Yeah.
And that's not going to help any brand. So we believe that the brands need to invest into building the personality of their brand, which I think is somewhere needs to be brought back as a science and an art both. And then once you've been able to do that, automatically the pull of the brand is going to improve. And it's not that it's not happening, there's still so many brands that have great pull, and they have a very high unaided recall in the minds of the consumer.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere that needs to always happen for brands to be able to scale up beyond a level. So it's not this versus that. I think performance and brand building have to work together, not at the cost of each other.
Of course. But then also I feel that somewhere, as you said, because there are so many options, you ultimately tend to get confused in too many lanes and which one to drive in. Yeah. So what do you think? How marketing is getting very complicated as an umbrella term.
Yes.
And how can a brand navigate its way through all the clutter to kind of stand out? Because as you said, I totally agree with you. A lot of new age brands today have launched their marketing campaigns and their name and their logo and their tagline, but they lack a personality which does not connect with the consumer, and hence they fail on the balance sheet. So what do you have to say about the same?
So I think that's a very, very important question that needs to be answered. And I very strongly believe in it, that at the end of the day, the fundamentals of brand will not change. These are like laws of physics.
Yeah.
So the fundamentals of the laws will stay the same. For any brand to stay resilient in the minds of consumer, they need to have a very strong personality, which is where we say the archetype of the brand needs to stay the same. It needs to have very strong memory structure, which means the colors, the font, the association of how I'm thinking about the brand in my mind. If I think Coca-Cola, I know it's red color. If I think Cadbury's Dairy Milk, I know it's purple color. I think some of those memory structures need to be established and always stay true to the brand. Now we see a lot of brands out there that don't have some of these very basic elements. And then how the brand needs to speak.
Yeah.
So what happens is that sometimes, and it happens a lot in our industry as well, that my brand archetype is probably a very wise kind of a brand. But, I want to just in the idea of getting maybe engagement, I sometimes want to ride on a topical trend.
Yeah.
Or I may lose the essence of who I am as a brand, which is not necessarily something that you see brands globally trying to do, or the big brands don't get into those.
Yeah.
So somewhere having very strong guardrails on what my brand is and what my brand is not, I think it has to be established quite firmly. And then after that, the media aspect, as I say, is, if you want to build brand, then reach is very important. And reach into frequency is equal to salience. If a brand will always be consistent in front of me in a certain way and speaks a certain language all the time, and I see the brand on a regular basis, the chances that the brand will have occupied a mind space subliminally also is very high. And as a result, when I intend to buy a product in that category, I will remember that brand.
For sure.
So the fundamentals are not going to change. The media can come and go, the platforms can come and go. But essentially, this is what the brands need to always watch out for. And yes, as long as the science remains intact, the big brands will continue to get bigger and bigger.
Of course,
Yeah.
why not? My next question is that how do you think among so many options, a brand how should they prioritize their investment into various categories? If you're supposed to give me a list of things that a brand should maybe put this much ratio of their spend into this and that, what would it be?
So see, again, it depends on multiple parameters. It's very difficult to come up with thumb rules like that. First, you'll have to figure out whether it's a high involvement category or a low involvement category.
Yeah.
Is it an impulse product, or is it something that requires a lot of thinking and consideration? The second thing that probably will matter is where you are in the life cycle as a brand. Is it your early stage? Is it your mid stage? Or you're a big brand, maybe facing heat from new competitors. And the third thing also depends in how the category is maturing. Is it a young category? Is it a mature category? Are you another brand in the same category, or you've come with something which is very distinct? So I think a lot will depend on that. But I functionally believe that if you are in the 1 to 10 kind of a journey, or 0 to 1 kind of a journey, you'll have to focus a lot on performance marketing, because you want early proof of concept, whether the brand is selling, whether people are buying, whether people are going to come back again and again, repeat purchases are happening or not. So those things become important in the early part of the journey. But once you've established that, and once you start getting bigger, then I think it becomes more and more important to start building the brand. Brands should have very solid storytelling and should make sure that they're always relevant to audiences through the entire year. So I believe that at that stage, investing a lot more on brand building, reach and frequency, and maybe reducing the spend on performance marketing will be more helpful. Because one of the things that we look at when we're looking at a brand is how is the search volume growing over a period of time with respect to, let's say, competitors, or how your search volume is growing with respect to the search volume for the category at a generic level. And let's say if you are growing faster than your competitors or the category, then you're in a great shape as a brand. But if you're growing slower, if you're not growing as fast as some of your competitors, then I think then there's a brand problem. It's not a performance problem. And that understanding needs to be built through data, through objective assessment. And then you can decide the right way to invest money depending on where the problem lies.
Makes sense. I would like to come back to L&F. And I know 10-12 years back, it started off as a digital marketing agency. Over the years, how have you been able to spread your arms more and take more things into your umbrella?
So see, as an agency, we offer almost like 100 plus services to our clients. We are a very important Amazon partner, so we help more than 300 brands actually manage their performance marketing on marketplaces, and not just on optimizing their investments from a very ACOS lens. We are also helping them improve their presence, whether it is their AFIS content, whether it is building the product pages, so that organic discovery of the brand can also improve. So there's a lot of creative element there. We are one of the rare agencies that has a full-fledged production system, where we have people who are in-house directors, script writers, post-production artists, camera. We've got a huge studio of our own, because we believe that today social media is all about a lot of original content.
For sure, yes.
So the Photoshop content doesn't work anymore. So you've got to create a lot of content, and you can do that in a very commercially viable kind of a way, only if you have all these resources inside. So that's another thing that we bring to the table. We are a premium partner with Google, with Meta, with all the platforms to drive D2C traffic, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, InShots, Taboola. So in terms of driving brand growth also, so we do all of that. And from a creative standpoint, I think one of the big changes that happened after COVID especially is that a lot of brands came to us in trying to help them build the entire brand. So we've actually created logos, we've created identity for brand, visual identity, the tone of voice, the archetype of the brand, launching campaigns, building the TVCs, creating content that will go online on YouTube.
It's kind of a full end-to-end agency.
So now, yeah, we are a full-on creative agency also, not just a digital. Obviously, from a media investment standpoint, we are a digital-only platform. But from a creative standpoint, we do a lot of things. We can actually help build an entire BTL event. We have done outdoor campaigns. We have done TVCs. We have done print campaigns. We have done print with augmented reality or doing some kind of interaction. We are doing a huge amount of work in driving traffic to retail stores using digital deployments. So we pretty much do everything under the digital sun, I would say. Plus, on the creative side, we do a lot more.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's too much to discuss for L&F and the Elevate program. I would love to end this conversation with a fun rapid fire round if you're up for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I don't want to mess up the questions because they're going to be fun and rapid. Okay. So I just want 1 or 2 words, not more than this, okay? So my first one is one word that best describes Elevate’25.
Thought leadership.
Okay. One motto that everyone at L&F lives by.
Building for the future.
Awesome. A film or book that shows the reality of AI's future.
Well, actually, a lot of books, it's difficult to say it in one word. I think they kind of dramatize the entire thing. I would pick up some podcasts, and I think NVIDIA's podcasts on AI are pretty informative, very practical on how AI is changing, and I think I really like those.
Okay. 3 words marketers should live by when building a brand.
Search volumes.
Okay.
Brand personality. Great content.
Okay. Not rapid, but I'll accept it.
Okay. Yeah.
Last question.
I'm a slow thinker.
That's okay. Works. Quality over quantity is always better. Last question. A Bollywood movie dialogue or title that describes L&F in 2025. This is going to be a fun one if you're a slow.
Okay, so there's a song.
Yeah.
That works, right?
Yeah.
So this is to clients who don't work with us.
Yeah.
Tera dhyan kidhar hai? Tera hero kidhar hai?
I think that is the exact right way to end this conversation. Thank you so much, sir, for giving your time. Plus, it was really nice having a conversation with you. Stay tuned for more people. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in.